It was a bright Saturday afternoon in central London. The kind of day that invited people outdoors, families filling parks, music humming from cafes, the smell of roasted chestnuts and fresh bread drifting from street vendors. Crowds poured into the shopping streets, laughter echoing between rows of old brick buildings and buskers strumming guitars under lampposts. In that sea of footsteps and city sounds, walked Emily Walker. She was 19, quiet, thoughtful, and moved with a gentle rhythm that stood out among the rush. Her face carried both innocence and quiet determination, framed by chestnut-brown hair that she wore in a low ponytail. A faded blue hoodie hung loose over her shoulders, paired with jeans that frayed slightly at the knees. But what set her apart most was the silver crutch pressed under her arm, the tool she'd relied on ever since a nerve condition had weakened her left leg as a child. Despite the stares she often got, she never let it define her. Emily was used to doing things on her own, taking the tube, running errands, even navigating the crowded crosswalks where nobody waited for anyone. Her mum was already waiting for her in a nearby cafe, their usual Saturday spot. She was only a few meters from the crossing when she heard it. "Hey, Limpy. You in a race with a snail, or what?" The words came sharp, slicing through the noise like a whistle before a crash. Emily stopped. Her heart jumped. She turned slowly, hoping maybe, just maybe, it wasn't directed at her. But it was. The voice belonged to a man leaning casually against a lamppost. He was tall, early 20s, with a shaven head, a leather jacket worn too proudly, and a grin that reeked of arrogance. Brandon Cole, someone she had never met, but someone who instantly made her feel unsafe. Tattoos peeked from under his sleeves, and a chain swung at his waist as he stepped forward, swaggering like a wannabe gangster on a playground. "You deaf too?" he mocked, taking slow steps toward her. "I said, you limping across the city to get a free sympathy sandwich." People began to glance their way, some curious, some uncomfortable. No one said anything. Emily's voice barely came out. "Please. I just want to go." Brandon raised an eyebrow. "Go. Sure, sweetheart. But if you're gonna be blocking the street like a traffic cone, maybe walk faster." And then, with a sudden move, he kicked her crutch. It wasn't a gentle nudge or an accident. It was intentional, brutal, and filled with mocking rage. The metal crutch clattered to the pavement. Emily cried out, her body losing balance, arms reaching for nothing. She fell, hard, hitting the cold pavement with a thud. Her glasses flew off. Her palms scraped the ground. The sting of humiliation was louder than the pain. A collective gasp came from the crowd. Still, no one moved. Except one man. From across the street, stepping out from behind a delivery van where he had been quietly sipping coffee, walked Jason Statham. There was no dramatic music. No entrance line. Just a calm, focused walk, each step purposeful. He wore a simple black t-shirt stretched over his muscular frame, dark jeans, and boots that echoed softly on the pavement. People began to murmur. Someone whispered, "Wait, is that?" Jason didn't care. His eyes were on Emily. And then on Brandon. Brandon hadn't noticed him yet. He stood over Emily, laughing. "Oops. Guess you tripped over your own foot, huh?" Jason's voice cut through the laughter. "You proud of that?" Brandon turned, smirking. "Who's asking?" "Another cripple lover." Jason stepped closer. The tension in the air thickened. The crowd instinctively made space. Jason's expression was unreadable, but his eyes, those were dangerous. He looked down at Emily, crouching beside her. "You all right?" Emily, tears brimming, nodded weakly. I think so." Jason handed her the crutch, gently helping her sit up. Then he stood, slowly, turning to face Brandon fully. Brandon scoffed. "Wait, you look familiar." Jason raised an eyebrow. "That's supposed to scare me." Then came the words that shifted the air. "You think you're a man because you can knock down a girl who's already struggling to stand?" Jason asked, voice calm, cold, and low. "That doesn't make you strong. That makes you nothing." Brandon chuckled, puffing out his chest. "You gonna teach me a lesson, movie star?" Jason didn't answer. He moved. With speed that caught even the crowd off guard, Jason stepped in, grabbed Brandon's wrist, twisted it behind his back, and drove his elbow into Brandon's ribs in one clean motion. Brandon gasped and dropped to his knees, eyes wide in shock and pain. Jason didn't let go yet. He leaned close, speaking directly into his ear. You don't touch people who can't fight back. You want to fight, you pick someone who can take you apart. He released him, and Brandon collapsed, coughing and wheezing. The crowd erupted, not in panic, but applause. Phones were now up, capturing every second. But Jason ignored it all. He turned back to Emily, who was still sitting on the ground, dazed. Jason offered a hand. Come on. Let's get out of here. Inside the small cafe around the corner, the staff brought out tea and first aid supplies. Jason sat quietly while Emily cleaned a scratch on her arm. She looked up at him, shyly. You didn't have to do that. He smiled softly. Yeah, I did. I don't even know your name, she said. Jason. Her eyes widened. Wait. Jason Statham. He looked around, then smirked. I get that a lot. Emily laughed, just a little. Enough to break the ice. You didn't punch him, she noted. I didn't need to, Jason replied. Some people learn better with embarrassment than bruises. That night, the internet exploded. Clips of the incident went viral. Jason Statham saves disabled girl from bully trended worldwide. News anchors covered it, influencers shared it, and even talk shows debated the moment. But Jason didn't comment. He wasn't chasing attention. In fact, he turned down interviews. I just did what anyone should have done, he told one reporter who caught him briefly outside a gym. But I guess that's the sad part, not enough people do. Emily, however, found a different kind of fame. She was approached by organizations advocating for people with disabilities. Schools asked her to speak. Podcasts invited her to tell her story, not about what happened that day, but about everything she had overcome quietly for years. Her confidence grew. She started a blog. Then a YouTube channel. And her voice, once lost in the crowd, began to reach thousands. As for Brandon, the police charged him with assault. Multiple bystanders came forward with videos and statements. He was ordered to attend court-mandated anger management and complete 200 hours of community service, including work at a rehabilitation center. He never mocked anyone again.